What was your takeaway from this epic Thursday night football encounter?
I mean, I know the stretches of opponents over the last month or so for the Bears have not been the greatest offensive teams across the league, but I do think you are seeing this defense start to play at a much higher level. I mean, you look last night, they technically gave up 6 points on the 2 field goals because we had a punt return from Amir Smith-Marset. And you look at the Raiders game, yeah, the Chargers kind of killed them, but the Raiders game, the Vikings game, you go back a little bit now, and particularly against the run, they're a top 5 team against the run right now in EPA per play and success rate, and you saw that again last night. Basically nothing on the ground for Carolina, which they kind of tried to lean into early, get Chuba Hubbard going, and he was averaging like 3 yards a carry. So, and then beyond that, again, this season is more so than wins, is about seeing growth from young, recent draft picks. I thought Kyler Gordon, the Bears' nickel corner, was arguably the best player on the field last night. Maybe Derek Brown, maybe some other guys had some splash plays throughout the game, but Kyler Gordon was everywhere in coverage, up against the run, had 6 defensive stops or tackles for loss or no gain. He was awesome.
Yeah, no, I think the Bears had some, good performance on defense. Certainly Montez Sweat brings just a competence to the defensive line that they didn't necessarily have without him. Like, Sweat, I don't think is an amazing player, but he's good enough that if you give him opportunities, he's going to get pressures. And he had 7 pressures on 34 pass rushing snaps. 34 pass rushing snaps is a lot, but he returned 7 pressures with it. Like, it's an important element that they're bringing to that defense that they didn't have without him. But we talk heading into that game, right? Steve was saying he likes good defense. He likes defensive battles, but there's a difference between good defense and bad offense. And I think last night, unfortunately, was kind of what people expected going into it, which is we've got 2 fairly incompetent offenses going against each other. That's going to lead to some low-scoring affair. At least Chicago could run the ball, which the Panthers couldn't even do. And that, honestly, was probably the difference between the 2 teams.
Yeah, no, it's a good shout. Right, it was probably one of the worst, games of the season, just in terms of the quality of moving the football that we saw. Back to Montez Sweat quickly. I mean, yeah, like he's always a guy for us that his pressure rate's going to be higher than his pass rush win rate. He's not necessarily going to be winning a bunch of one-on-ones, but I think if you go look at all 3 sacks the Bears had last night, Montez Sweat was a factor in all 3 of those guys getting home. And the Bears don't blitz. They're 29th in blitz rate. It's going to be a 4-man rush, guys that need to win, and kind of goes against what he does well. But nevertheless, a lot of those coming against Taylor Moton as well, who's a pretty good pass blocking right tackle. So, but yeah, the offense was a journey, was a struggle for both teams, no question about it. But yeah, Deontay Foreman revenge game, staying out of the chains, running hard, running downhill. It was enough in this one.
Yeah, obviously the quarterback competition, Tyson Bagent. I mean, you got to win. That's about all you can say from the Tyson Bagent perspective. But Bryce Young, another game that wasn't particularly good, was more concerning than good. There were a couple of small, like one nice pass on the corner route to Strawn, a couple of nice scrambles, but that was kind of it. And where I think this game was more concerning relative to his season otherwise is like that offensive line has been a train wreck for most of the season. It was okay last night in terms of pass protection anyway. Like, it wasn't like he was running for his life every single play. He was under pressure little bits and pieces, but he didn't handle whatever pressure was there particularly well, and there wasn't the kind of volume of pressure that he's had in previous games. I mean, Ike Ekwonu gave up 1 hurry, which is like a season good game for him. The fact that the offense still looked that bad versus with a better pass protection was a real worry.
Oh, 100%. And I talk about how the Bears' run defense has been good. Their coverage unit is a bottom 5 statistically, so far this season. So it was interesting, too, because you mentioned that the bomb to Strahan or Strawn, however you say it, down the left sideline on the corner route, that was off play action. And coming into this game, Carolina, I think, was dead last, if not bottom 5 in play action rate. And probably part of that because they don't trust the offensive line to hold up, or maybe they don't really trust Bryce to turn his back to the defense and then have to relocate, process, find someone downfield. But that was the best throw that anyone made all night. And they did run it, more than their season-long base rate had been. But if you're in a matchup where you trust the offensive line, given the opponent, which this game obviously would apply, you need to lean into that more because they're doing a lot of the high-low, half-field read concepts, all of those things. I think it makes more sense to continue to do that off of play action, especially because they are a threat to run the ball a decent amount. I just thought they could have continued to lean into that, but yeah, I mean the play that was emblematic to me of what's going on in Carolina. It's 2nd and 16. Bryce Young is standing 6 yards into his own end zone and throws a curl to third-string running back Raheem Blackshear, who literally lined up out wide and ran. Like, that is the most emblematic of, like, well, I mean, he didn't look good. He hasn't looked good all year. But, I mean, what is the guy supposed to do in this current environment?
No, it was it wasn't good at all for Carolina. What did you make of Tyson Bagent, I guess, for another game for him? This time he gets a win. You can talk yourself into being encouraged by what you see from Bagent, given his story, given his background, given all those kinds of things. He's a strange quarterback, though. Like, there's some... he gets mocked a lot for not having a strong arm, but it's in very specific situations where he has no kind of arm. It seems to be when his feet are under him, he's actually got... his arm's fine. He's got zip on the ball. He can put it deep enough down the field. It's the second he's like falling away from the throw or his feet aren't where they're supposed to be. Not only does he not have a strong arm, but like there's nothing there.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be mean to the guy when I talk about it. I'm more of just been kind of mocking it because people keep pointing to this like combine test, I guess, where they I'm sure he took 4 hitches and put his entire body weight into the throw. I remember everyone always talked about it with Baker Mayfield too. Yes, if the guy can take 4 hitches and put his entire 200 pounds of weight into the throw, I'm sure he can zip it. But the screen pass to Darnell Mooney, for example, you're talking about, his feet were not set and it fluttered in there, and basically Mooney had no chance of doing anything with the play at that point. He made a couple nice throws. Look, the 4th down throw over the middle to Tyler Scott was also his furthest throw of the game, 15 yards downfield. Obviously, the game clincher. I was honestly surprised that they even trusted him to drop back and throw the ball on 3rd and 6. And I wouldn't say threw it into traffic, but I mean, Darnell Mooney did have 2 guys closing in, and there was decent velocity on that throw. He also led Mooney upfield, and I think it helped generate that 1st down because Mooney had to kind of run forward to go get the ball. So there was some good there, but end of the day, like, I'm not trying to be mean to the guy. It's more just like, look, he's not a long-term starter. I'm pumped as a Bears fan. He should be the backup for his entire undrafted contract and be a dirt cheap backup quarterback. It's just like, let's pump the brakes on him being like a potential starter in Chicago or anywhere.
Yeah, you mentioned that one screen that fluttered. There was like 2 or 3 more of those plays though later where, again, it's like they both came when he was throwing left, the ones after that, where he's sort of falling away from the throw, and as soon as his feet are not under him, the ball just dies. Like, it doesn't get anywhere near where it's supposed to be at. We were talking about this recently about a quarterback who's like that, whose arm is good when his feet are set, but is terrible when they're not. I can't remember who it was, but Bagent's got that same thing where I actually think his arm is decent when he's got his feet under him and he can put the ball in there. But as soon as it's not, it's like it's the other end of the spectrum. It's catastrophic. It's bizarre. So yeah, I agree with you. Like, I think he's a great story. It's a huge leap. They were showing you, right, the graphic of like teams he was facing in college and then the NFL teams that he's facing now. Like, you go from Colorado School of Mining or something to the Minnesota Vikings, right? It's a pretty big leap. So he's going to have a growth curve attached to it. But I think we're seeing enough limitations that we're not getting out of control and saying, yeah, he's the guy to focus on. Forget Fields. He's the starter. Like, he might be a backup.
Yeah, and we also look like I do think he processes well. I think he's not like you talk about the footwork a lot, and there were a couple happy feet throws, but honestly, I think when he does have confidence in the pocket, I think he'll stand in there. I think he will plant. He'll square his shoulders and be solid. But we also saw last night, and I don't know if it's a product of him not trusting himself or what, but Tyler Scott on a corner or a post route over from the right slot was wide open for a touchdown. And then Darnell Mooney, of course, the Chicago horrendous all-22, we couldn't really see. I was watching Prime Vision, which is my favorite because you can actually see if there are any DBs behind the guys. Anyway, He had the prime target, the green highlighted circle, so I trust them that he also was wide open when Bagent was rolling to his right. And he didn't throw it either time. And it's like, does he not trust that he can get enough, air under the ball or what? But no, he's solid. I think he knows what he's doing. I think he's calm. I think he's composed, which says a lot. Like you said, going from IUPUI, which is like a 15 seed in the NCAA tournament every year, and Colorado School of Mines to now playing in the NFL. But yeah, there are obvious limitations.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I think that's all the time we deserve to give to this game, to be honest. Thursday Night Football, the Bears move one step closer to the number 1 overall draft pick and get a W.